Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parvrajgacharya Ashta Tushata Shishaman. His Divine Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premse Kahoshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the Summa devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janvala Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद अभय शरणानंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Jai Prabhupada.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत गोस्वामी ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की
Jai.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। नामाचार्य शाहिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय। Taking on the word with Srila Prabhupada's National Book Distribution and Daiva Varnashram Farm Communities Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, Text number 38. Atmanaha Avisitaha Vatsa Mahima Kavina Adina Samvatsara Sahasra Ante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasrante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasrante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasrante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya. Please repeat.
Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasra Ante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasrante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya
Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasrante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya
Atmano Vasito Vatsa Mahima Kavinadina Samvatsara Sahasrante Dhya Yoga Vipakkhaya. Atmanaha of the Supreme Soul. Avasitaha known. Vatsa, O my dear son. Mahima, glories. Kavina, by the poet Brahma. Adina, original. Samvatsara, celestial years. Sahasra, ante, at the end of 1,000. Dhya, by intelligence. Yoga Vipakkhaya, by matured meditation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O my son, the original poet Brahma, after mature meditation for 1,000 celestial years, could know not only that the glories of the Supreme Soul could know only that the glories of the Supreme Soul are inconceivable. Purport. There are some froggish philosophers who want to know the Supreme Soul by means of philosophy and mental speculation. And when the devotees, who are to some extent in knowledge of the Supreme Lord, admit the glories of the Lord are inestimable or inconceivable, the froggish philosophers adversely criticize them. These philosophers, like the frog in the well, who try to estimate the measurement of the Pacific Ocean, like to take trouble over fruitless mental speculations instead of taking instructions from devotees like the original poet, namely Brahma. Lord Brahma underwent a severe type of meditation for 1,000 celestial years, yet he said that the glories of the Lord are inconceivable. Therefore, what can the froggish philosophers hope to gain from their mental speculation? It is said in the Brahma Samhita that the mental speculator may fly through the sky of speculation with the velocity of the mind of the wind for thousands of millions of years, and still he will find it inconceivable. The devotees, however, do not waste time in such vain searching after knowledge of the Supreme, but they submissively hear the glories of the Lord from bona fide devotees. Thus, they transcendently enjoy the process of hearing and chanting. The Lord approves of the devotional activities of the Lord, or Mahatma, and he says, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim pragatimashita bhajantananya manaso jnatva buddhadimabhyayam satatam kirtayanto mam yatancha shridavrata namasyantasya mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. The pure devotees of the Lord take shelter of the Parash Prakriti, the internal potency of the Lord, called Lakshmi Devi, Sita Devi, Srimati Radharani, or Srimati Rukmini Devi, and thus they become actual Mahatmas, or great souls. Mahatmas are not fond of indulging in mental speculations, but they actually take to devotional service of the Lord without the slightest deviation. Devotional service is manifested by the primary process of hearing and chanting about the activities of the Lord. This method, practiced by the Mahatmas, gives them sufficient knowledge of the Lord, because if the Lord can at all be known to some extent, it is only through the means of devotional service and no other way. One may go on speculating and waste valuable time of his human life, but that will not help anyone to enter the precincts of the Lord. The Mahatmas, however, are not concerned with knowing the Lord by mental speculation, because they enjoy hearing about his glorious activities in his transcendental dealings with his devotees or with the demons. The devotee takes pleasure in both and are happy in this life and the life after. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vadam Tam Sajivam Sadh Haitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vadam Shahi Krishna Karna Sandho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranam Vansha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sandubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine Harijanagana Bari Gnana Karmandahari Prakatita Parabhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinayanikara Lakshmi Nimna Medera Gamyo Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasachivakshasi Yasyasya Hidaye Samvitam Nrisimham Aham Bhaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading translation again. O my son, the original poet Brahma, after mature meditation for 1,000 celestial years, could know only that the glories of the Supreme Lord are inconceivable. So we see that again Lord Brahma, he states in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnane prayasamuda pasya ramanta eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiya vartam sthane sthita shrutigatan tanuvan manobhir yat prayaso jita jito apitrai srilokya. So Lord Brahma says, I'll read the translation. O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empiric philosophical speculation aimed at merging in the existence of the Supreme and engages himself in hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu or saint who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of a social life can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you are ajita or unconquerable. So this is a very important point to note that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is not to be found out through mental speculation. It's not like we can sit here and speculate and speculate and speculate. Come to the conclusion that, you know what, God is actually a blue boy who plays a flute and he walks barefoot and he's with cows all the time. You can't speculate that. Why? Because Krishna has designed it in such a way. Krishna has designed it in such a way that you cannot speculate your way all the way to Goloka Vrindavan. And this is true about Krishna, and then this is true about any person also. So let's just say, the paintings in the back on our wall. We look at them. Well, there are nice paintings. But looking at that paintings, can we figure out who the painter is? Can we figure out how he looks? Can we figure out what he likes to eat? What about his mom's name? Nothing, right? We can't figure out anything. What about his name? If he didn't put a sign on there, does anyone know the name of the devotee who painted these? Viryavan Prabhu, right? How do you know? His name is there? In one picture, sir. Okay, Viryavan. So Viryavan Prabhu, that's his name. Who's he a disciple of? Right? We wouldn't know anything like that. Anyway, Viryavan Prabhu is a disciple of his Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj. And sweet devotee. Yeah, okay, I only know so much because I only heard about him. I never spoke to him even myself. But anyway, I know a little bit more than other devotees because I heard about him from some other devotees. But we can say that even this painting, we can never figure out who the person actually is. Who drew, what does he look like? Okay, what can we say? Okay, you know what? He's good with he's good at what he does. Right? He's a good artist, right? You can look at that and you can tell that much. Okay, he's a good artist. But then, we can't tell much about his personality. We can't find out his name. We can't find out where he lives. Where did these paintings come from? Poland or Italy? I thought it was Italy anyway. See, even I don't know, right? Speculation, right? I think it's from Italy, right? Poland, okay, from Poland. He's coming. He's all the way in Poland. So he made the paintings over there. So we can't even figure out, hey, who actually made these paintings? What's the name of the person? So if this is true about just a painting in this room, how true it is about the person who made all of this? Through anumana, through analysis, logical analysis, you can understand and see that someone painted it. Okay, we know that much. We can come to the conclusion that someone painted that painting. It didn't come out randomly because it's not like you just walk about and like all of a sudden from a tree falls a painting of Lord Chaitanya. It doesn't happen like that. Someone has to take some time to make that painting. So similarly, we see that we can't speculate our way to figure out who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. We can't do that. But there's froggish philosophers who waste their time. There's froggish philosophers who waste their time trying to figure out, actually, maybe the Supreme Person is like that, maybe the Supreme is like this, maybe the Supreme is like that, and maybe the Supreme is like this. And then, because Krishna, because he reciprocates with people to the degree that they surrender unto him, he gives them a facility okay, so if you want to speculate, he gives them the facility to speculate. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Paroksha Vada Munayo Paroksham Cha Mama Priyaha. He says that I also like to be glorified in an indirect way also. So sometimes in the Vedic scriptures also, there's so much indirect glorification of Krishna. And then mental speculators like to speculate like this, keep on speculating. But, like Srila Prabhupada says over here, when the devotees are to some extent, it's a very important point, Prabhupada says that devotees, to some extent, they're in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of God. Why does he say, is this a fault of the devotees? No. Jiva Goswami makes this very amazing point. He says that at every moment, at every point, at any point of our philosophy is achintya. It's inconceivable. It's actually inconceivable. For us right now, in our present state, to some degree we can understand that, okay, we're not the body, we're spirit, soul. But to fully conceive of that is a whole other thing. It's the whole other thing. The whole 87th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is prayers of the Veda, personified Vedas, right? 87th chapter. And the whole, my God, you read that chapter, my God. It's the Upanishads glorifying the Supreme Personality of God. And that's their whole point. That the Supreme Personality of God is inconceivable, but to some extent we can understand His glory. How inconceivable are Krishna's glories? That even Krishna himself cannot understand his own glories. Because his glories are always expanding. His glories are always expanding. So, we see and we understand from this simple point that for us as living infinitesimal living entities, it's impossible to speculate our way all the way to the spiritual world. It's impossible to speculate about, can we actually conceive, Anantarupa. There's this name of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Sahasranama, called Anantarupa. And in this Anantarupa, my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, gives this example that, let's just say, you can conceive of 10 apples. You could conceive of 100 apples, right? Maybe Avadut can conceive of 200 apples. But then, can you conceive of 1,000 apples? How does that look? Maybe, can you conceive of 10,000 apples? How does 10,000 apples look? What about 10 million apples? Can we conceive of it? Not really. Like, okay, it's a big number. We understand that. But that's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur makes this point that Krishna, he is the biggest of the biggest. He's the biggest of the biggest. And it's also, he's simultaneously, and then you can understand that, okay, that Krishna is the biggest of the biggest. You can understand that, okay, so we have a conception of something big. Okay, we have a conception of, okay, Texas is a big state, right? It has 2 time zones in it. I don't think any other state has 2 time zones in America. Maybe I'm wrong. But Texas is a big state. Okay, we have a conception. Okay, Texas is a big state. If you drive from one end of Texas to another end of Texas, okay, it's a big state. But then if you drive from Atlanta to Los Angeles, okay, bigger than Texas is the United States of America, right? You're driving from one place, so you have a conception. And then I guess bigger than that, you could say is, okay, all the entire earth is bigger. Bigger than the earth is the universe. Bigger than the universe. And then we can go bigger, like that we can understand. And then we can also understand, okay, smaller than the smallest. What's small? Okay, I guess relatively speaking, this petal is small. But the smaller than this petal is half a petal. Smaller than half a petal is like a half of the petal. And you can keep breaking up the petal and you can see it's smaller. And then to the degree of you understand, okay, this on a microscopic level also it is very small. Right? We understand this point. It's on a microscopic level also it's very small. But what's inconceivable about Krishna is he simultaneously both, and he maintains his standard size as a son of Nanda Maharaj also. Krishna does all. He's simultaneously both, and he's also like he's also Krishna, the way we see him. So this is inconceivable. How can we conceive of this? It's inconceivable. So every aspect of our philosophy is inconceivable. Every aspect of our philosophy is inconceivable. So this point, a person must understand and see that, okay, to some degree we can understand the glories of the Lord. But the only way we can fully get to know, for example, if you want to know about the artist who painted that painting, what's the best way to know? From the artist himself, right? Okay, so Prabhu, where did you get the painting from? Okay, Viryavan Prabhu, nice. So can I have his phone number? You get his phone number. So you first know a person who knows him, and either the person who knows him tells you about him, or you can call up the person and he himself directly tells you about him. And then what's even better is if you found an autobiography of the person, then okay, wow, okay, I really know. So the whole purpose of Shastra is to know Krishna. That's why Krishna says, Vedesha sarver ahameva vedyaha vedantakrit vedavit eva chaham. Krishna is saying, that everything, he's the compiler of the Vedas, he's the knower of the Vedas, and from him, he is to be known. From the Vedas, he is to be known. So Krishna himself is telling us all about himself in the Vedas, and then in the Vedas, Krishna makes a very important point. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes an important point. Bhaktya mam abhijananti yavan yashashmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gyatva vishate tat anantaram. He's making this point, that only through devotional service can a person know Krishna. Without devotional service, a person cannot know Krishna. Why? Because he reserves the right to be revealed to other people. It's an important point. Krishna reveals the right to be revealed. He does not. It's not that anyone can know and go and find out. Okay, what's the president doing? Can we just walk into his house? No, you can't just walk into his house. But his son can walk into his house whenever he wants. He can do whatever he likes. The son can, because he's close with him. Only those who are close we can see. Of all the devotees in Dwarka, Uddhava was the only person who could go into any of Krishna's palaces at any time. And Krishna would, it's just like considered like, okay, yeah, it was Uddhava, what do you expect? Like, he can come and do it. Uddhava can do it. So, the same thing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The only way we could do it, we could know, I'm sure Prabhupada would give this example often. The example he would give is that, let's just say you have a very rich man, and the rich man is walking, and while the rich man is walking, you want to make a relationship with him, but he's walking with his dog. Then Prabhupada would say, you buy a $2 lozenge and you give the dog the treat to eat, and the dog eats that treat. And then you pet the dog, oh, such a nice dog. And the guy thinks, okay, you like my dog. Yeah, hey, yeah, what's your name? And then you can develop a relationship with him. And we also see on book distribution also that if we want to, let's just say someone is walking with their child, the best thing to tell them, wow, ma'am, you look like a responsible mother. And immediately they think, oh, yes, he's saying something to me in relationship of my child. My child and me, there's a relationship. And he's able to say it, and they're able to relate like that. So the point is that to win the heart of Krishna, we have to go through his disciplic succession. To the disciplic succession, and disciplic succession is not just a succession of people who have a lot of knowledge, but it's a succession of people who love Krishna. That is the disciplic succession. And let's just say, oh no, I can never be part of the disciplic succession because I don't love Krishna. Then at least you can love someone that loves Krishna. And that's the whole point. To love someone that loves Krishna. If we do that, then we are on Krishna's team. Why? Because the pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very expert at avoiding service from Krishna. Krishna is looking at every opportunity to serve his pure devotee. And this pure devotee is looking at every opportunity to serve Krishna. So, and the pure devotee is very expert at avoiding service, whereas Krishna cannot avoid accepting service because that's his position. His position is to accept service from everyone else. Mamai vamsho jiva loki jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashashyani indriyani prakritim sthani karshati. That it's Krishna's position to accept service from all living entities. That's his position. So, if this is Krishna's position to accept service, but it's not, but the Guru is also a living entity, so it's easy for him to avoid accepting service. But then, if the disciple truly loves the Guru and wants to serve him, Krishna becomes very pleased with him. Oh, you're trying to serve the Guru? I'm also trying to serve the Guru. So so then he gets the blessing of Krishna. So it's a very simple process to understand. But Prabhupada makes a statement in this purport that the mundane speculators, they can go through the sky of speculation for as long as they want, but they will never reach the end of the limit of Krishna's glories. The verse is Pantashta Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayo Ratapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopyas Yet Pramanasimnya Vichintya Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That we can travel. If we had a spaceship which traveled with the speed of the mind, that's a very fast spaceship. If we had a spaceship which traveled with the speed of the mind, and we travel for millions and millions of years in that spaceship, still we wouldn't even come close to the light emanating from the toenails of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We wouldn't even come close. So this is an important point. Then so many people, they like to take so much trouble over fruitless mental speculation instead of taking the instructions of the devotees, instead of taking the instructions of the self-realized devotees. That's why we see in the Shastra that the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is devotees talking to each other and asking each other questions about Krishna. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Machita madgada prana bodhayantas parasparam kathayantas shamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Then devotees, they become very enlivened when they are with each other and they talk about Krishna. When they talk about Krishna, they become very enlivened. Because this is the most amazing thing in the world. Talking about Krishna is the most amazing thing in the world. That's why the Mahajan of Kirtan is Vyasaki. Who is Vyasaki? Shukadeva Goswami. He's the Mahajan of Kirtan. He's a Mahajan. So we say that Shukadeva Goswami, he is the Mahajan of Kirtan, And his main service was speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read the Bhagavatam and we apply the principles of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it becomes very, very ecstatic. It becomes a very ecstatic experience. And the devotees, they take great, great, great pleasure in fully surrendering unto the bona fide descriptions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why one of the names of Lord Vishnu in the Vishnu Sahasranama is Punya Shravana Kirtana. A person whose glorification is very beneficial. If you are not doing Punya Shravana Kirtana, unfortunately everyone is doing Shravana and Kirtana, but most people in this world, they are doing Papa Shravana Kirtana. They are performing, they are hearing subject matters which are nothing but simply glorification of sinful activities. And what is sin? Anything which makes you forget Krishna. That is sin. Anything which makes you forget Krishna. So that's why we can see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advice his devotees, don't dress very opulently. Don't do anything which attracts the attention of the people near you, which will take away their attention from Krishna. So the whole material world is a big distraction. It's a big distraction. It's a big distraction. The whole desire for sense gratification is a big distraction from our ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is to please Krishna. That's the ultimate goal of life. All these other things are completely useless. All these other things are completely useless. We can see that so many people, they've invented so many ways of forgetting Krishna. It's very amazing. So many people have so many ways of forgetting Krishna. Forget Krishna with AI now. It's like the latest way of forgetting Krishna. You read the newspapers, what do they say? Yeah, this is actually a really good way of forgetting Krishna. Why, we talk about this politician and that politician and that politician and this politician. Let's talk about this policy and that policy and that policy and this policy. All these ideas. But ultimately the bottom line is, how can we forget Krishna? So people speculate. We can see in articles also where you can see in most places where religious leaders are glorified, they're glorified because they're very good at speaking about their religion, but they're not really glorified because they're good at bringing people back to their original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness. They're not glorified for that point. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would say, Prithivite yaha kishu dharma nama chale, bhagavata prahita tahan paripurna chale. That in the whole world, you're seeing the whole world. What's going on in the whole world? The whole world, whatever's going on in the name of Dharma is simply nothing but wholesale cheating. We are being cheated big time, even in the name of Dharma. Even in the name of Dharma. Guru na sasyat, svajano na sasyat, daivim na sasyat, pitarim na sasyat. Namo chayat samapetya mityum. A person must not become a spiritual master, a guru, a father, a demigod, a worshipable senior, or anyone who accepts a post of respect or a post of instructing others if they cannot deliver their dependence from the cycle of birth and death. If they cannot deliver their dependence from the cycle of birth and death, a person should not take the position of instructing others. Otherwise, they're doing great harm to themselves and great harm to others. That's why old people these days, usually old people are supposed to be wise. They're supposed to have wisdom. But most old people these days are nothing but like really old children. Really old children who have no wisdom to share with others. They have no wisdom to share with others. The wisdom that they share, make money like this. I made a mistake by doing this. That's why I didn't make money. But if you do this, you'll make more money. You'll make more money like this. You'll make more money like that. Ultimately, they do not understand what the ultimate goal of life is. They do not understand. Nate vidu swarthagatim hi Vishnu. Durashraya he bahirartamaninaha. Andayatande rupagiyamana sepi shatantram urudhamni bhadya. They completely do not understand the ultimate goal of life is Vishnu. They do not understand this point. And because they do not understand this point, people are simply like blind leading the other blind people. They're simply blind leaders. They have no conception. But a bona fide devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is very expert at taking shelter of the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. A devotee should make it his life's goal to take full shelter of the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means to give up all other mundane designations that we may have. We have so many mundane designations. And why is this recommended? Why is this recommended? I'm probably reading my the copy of my Guru Maharaj's Ramayana for the 8th or 9th time over now. And then in the beginning is given a description how Valmiki is sitting with his disciples and is speaking Krishna consciousness to them. And of God. He's traveling around the world glorifying the Supreme Lord. So he comes and he comes to Valmiki's ashram, and Valmiki and all his disciples immediately offer obeisances to him. And they start worshipping Narada Muni and all these things. And then after doing that, when you meet a saintly person, you inquire about the nature of the absolute truth. That's the duty of a person, to inquire the nature of the absolute truth. So, and the way Valmiki inquires is very amazing. He asks Narada Muni, he asks him, my dear Narada, who is that person on this earth who is completely in adherence to Dharma, who is extremely polite and gentle and has all good qualities, but at the same time when he gets angered, even the demigods are scared to approach him. And then he makes a very amazing question. He asks him, who is that person upon whom the goddess of fortune has fully bestowed her blessings upon? And the answer is, that is Rama. Rama is that person. So, we see that even Krishna is fully receiving the blessings of Srimati Radharani. Even Dwarkadish is fully receiving the blessings of Rukmini. Even Lord Rama is fully receiving the blessings of Sita. Even Narayana is fully receiving the blessings of Lakshmi. Why? Because it's very, very amazing to be in the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because it's on the platform of having the best service attitude. Srimati Radharani, Prabhupada says she is the head of the service department. She's the head of the service department. So, the Mahatmas, the great souls, what do? The Mahatmas, the great souls, they simply take shelter of the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They take in the full shelter of the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. And when they do so, when these great Mahatmas, they take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they become so enlivened that they want to go and tell others about the beautiful activities and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why, anyway, I guess I could just display these verses. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhu, I got it, never mind. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very beautiful verse, a very famous verse too. This Satam Prasangan Mamavirya Samvido Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Kataha Tajyoshanadhyas Apavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukhramishyati. We see this over here. Srila Prabhupada gives a great translation, as usual. In the association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So, the way to begin devotional service is to hear about Krishna. And then, after you begun devotional service, what do? You continue hearing about Krishna. Because this is the disease that we have. We're completely diseased by material existence. That's why in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this verse, I hope I get the number right. Nivritta tarsha rupagiya manas bhava sada chotra manobhiramat ka uttama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajeta vinapashugnat. Okay. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of the cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine. Prabhupada quoted this so many times, especially in Prabhupada's last days, where while Srila Prabhupada was manifesting the pastimes of disappearing from Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, no more medicine. And he quotes this verse. And he says, descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self. Only a person who is so foolish to kill their own self will not hear about Krishna. Will not hear about Krishna. I was reading this ecstatic book. I strongly recommend devotees read. You could probably read this book in 2 days. Although it's this size. A story of Rasika Ananda. It's Rasika Mangal by Gopijana Vallabha Prabhu, translated by my Guru Maharaj. And I think he translated and presented to the whole world by my Guru Maharaj. And in this, Rasika Ananda Prabhu, he's a disciple of Shyamananda Prabhu. Shyamananda Prabhu is? Who is he? That's right. I'm not asking you to give the whole biography, but he's a disciple, a Shiksha disciple of Jiva Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasa Acharya, and Shyamananda Prabhu. They're the first 3 book distributors in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. I guess that was the answer I was expecting, right? But there's so many things that can be said, but disciple of Hridayananda Prabhu. So we say, Hriday Chaitanya. He's a disciple of Hriday Chaitanya. So he was once in a class. Shyamananda Prabhu was giving a class. He was sitting in a class, a Bhagavatam class given by Shyamananda Prabhu in this place called Gantashila. And then just for a moment, he turns his face away from his spiritual master, not giving, not at least if it seemed to the spiritual master like he's not giving full attention to the spiritual master. And immediately Shyamananda Prabhu kicks him twice. And he falls on the floor. And he starts crying and falls at the lotus feet of Shyamananda Prabhu saying, now all my sinful reactions have gone away. Because I've had the good fortune of receiving the kick from your lotus feet. In another place, when Rasikananda Prabhu himself was giving a class, then there was the king who was his disciple. He was hearing the class, and then one of the king's subjects, they come about. His name is Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna, he comes, and he's also a disciple of Rasikananda. And then when the king turns away and looks at his manager, because he came thinking of some business, his manager, and this person is Kshatriya, and this other person is like a Vaishya, he comes and he slaps his godbrother so hard that the godbrother falls unconscious. And then the other subjects and ministers are ready to kill him because he slapped the king. And then immediately the king gains back his consciousness and stops him. Hey, wait a minute. What my godbrother did to me is the perfect thing to do. Because to be distracted while hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam is worse than pigs eating stool. It's the worst thing to be distracted while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. He says this. Unceasing nectar. Because it's the right medicine. It's the right medicine for our disease condition. Yad anudhyasina yukta karma grantis nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Srimad Bhagavatam, yet again. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work karma by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his messages? Who will not pay attention to his messages? Because this is the right antidote for our great conditioning that we have. This great conditioning to forget Krishna. Our main disease is forgetfulness of Krishna. And hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam is a perfect antidote for the removal of this deep-rooted envy, the deep-rooted envy of Krishna, which is our situation in this material world. It's horrible. It's horrible. And then when I read that, I have to admit, sometimes when I'll be listening to a lecture, if I get a message, I will look at the message while the lecture is going on, or just scroll here, scroll there, looking for something or something like that. But then after hearing that, it became completely clear as to how Rasikananda's disciple slapped the king, and the king got up like, he did the right thing. Thank you, I was making such a big mistake. When Shyamananda Prabhu kicked Rasikananda Prabhu for looking away, it made such an impact. Like, whoa, from now on, I'm not going to do it. And now, most of the time, of course, when we're driving, It's like, okay, Haribo. And we can listen to lecture, and most of we're paying attention to the lecture, and we're paying attention to the road, not like we're paying inattention. But when we're hearing a lecture, we should only hear the lecture. We should not, worry about all these other things. And in Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in this regard, how do I find this? Okay. 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 I don't know. If it's not visible. I'm sure, right? It's not visible. Is it visible? Is this visible? Okay. Feeling increasingly disgusted with several of his disciples, Srila Saraswati Thakur would comment on their proclivity for eating and sleeping and having no inspiration for broadcasting the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He lamented that despite having so many disciples, most of them were Kanishta Adhikaris, fit for archana and not for preaching. On seeing the number of his neophyte disciples was swelling, he decided to depart. Now here's another one I'd like to. All right. Okay, boom, here it is. Sometimes, upon noticing a disciple sleeping during class, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would reprehend him, which means like chastise, right? Yeah, reprehend him. Stand up, go wash your face. My Guru Maharaj is present. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is present. All the acharyas are present. You're insulting them by sleeping. Once when a brahmachari was dozing in class, Saraswati said he should be thrown in Radhakund, adding, I've invited my guru and all acharyas here. But if they see you sleeping, they will go away. Why are you embarrassing me by sleeping? So this is a very important point, that we should pay so much attention to the Srimad Bhagavatam. But our unfortunate situation, that when it's time for the Bhagavatam, it's a perfect time for sleeping. Bhagavatam class is perfect time for sleeping. My Guru Maharaj makes a joke that people always criticize the Hare Krishnas. You only sleep. You're torturing the people. They only have to sleep for 6 hours, maximum 7 hours. But Guru Maharaj says no, that's not true. The devotees sleep for at least 10 hours. Why? 2 hours during japa, 1 hour during Bhagavatam class. 10 hours. Whether to laugh or cry, what to do? There's our situation. But this is the medicine. By doing this, we take full shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the remedy for all our sufferings. Here it is. The Bhagavatam was spoken. Srila Prabhupada painstakingly gave up his sleep to give us the Bhagavatam. But yet we are so unfortunate that we don't have attraction for the Bhagavatam. This is our condition. It's our miserable condition in this material world. So we should see, the Mahatmas, everything that Krishna does is very amazing. Everything about Krishna is amazing. Every activity is amazing. Every little thing that Krishna does, it will completely blow our mind if we're in the right consciousness. It will completely blow our mind if we're in the right consciousness. Krishna is glorifying the devotees, rewarding the devotees is nice. Krishna is killing the demons is also very nice. We were giving class in LA day before yesterday, and then the verse was speaking about how the club of Krishna is decorated with the blood of the demons, and how he takes pleasure in grinding them to a pulp and making the earth muddy with their blood. It's amazing to hear about Krishna. Because why? Because Krishna is a person. Krishna is a person. And naturally a person has all emotions. And because Krishna has all emotions, does Krishna have envy? Well, Prabhupada says yes, because he named his disciple Madhu Dvisha. So then, when he got initiated, so Prabhupada said, your name is Madhu Dvisha Das. And then he gave him the beads. And then he said, Madhu Dvisha means one who is envious of Madhu. And then like Madhu Dvishya Maharaj thought like, wait, Prabhupada, I think I misheard you. Did you say one who's envious of Madhu? How can Krishna has envy? He said, no, Krishna can have envy. He got so envious of Madhu that he went and chopped his head off. So Krishna has emotions. Krishna has all these things. We can't, and it's Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That means he wants to be supremely personal with us also. Krishna wants to be supremely personal with us. That means, and then, he's a person. He likes attention. Krishna likes attention. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, only think of me. Madhyaji mam namaskuru, only worship me. Mame veshe satyam te, pratijani priyasame. Only do this for me, only for me. Okay. Krishna wants our exclusive attention. And by giving it to Krishna, we are not losing out. If we exclusively give our attention to something else, we'll be completely dissatisfied. But when we give our exclusive attention to Krishna and broadcasting the message of Krishna, we will be so ecstatic and so happy in our spiritual life. This is what it means. Apratihata bhakti. Ahaitukya pratihata. Causeless, I'm doing this because it's you, Krishna. I'm doing this because it's you. Causeless devotion. Apratihata, unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. Our devotional service becomes interrupted when we take our attention off of what gives pleasure to Krishna and keep our attention on what gives pleasure to me. And the Bhagavatam is meant to remove this disease. The sadhus are meant to remove the disease. That's why the Srimad Bhagavatam, I've gotten a little obsessed with this verse, a little more obsessed than Labdhvasa Durlabham actually. But because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would quote this often so much. Tato dussanga mutsejya satsu sajjeta buddhiman santa evasya chindanti manovyasanga muktibihi. An intelligent person should therefore reject all bad association and instead take up the association of saintly devotees whose words cut off the excessive attachment of one's own mind. Our minds have excessive attachments. They have excessive attachments. We have no idea how many attachments our mind has. But the words of the sadhu are meant to chop these off. They're meant to chop them off. That's why a sannyasi carries a sannyas danda. And the sannyas danda, it has a small stick which makes it look like an axe. And the duty of the sannyasi is to chop our material attachments. Is to chop our material attachments. That is the duty of the sannyasi. That is the duty of the preacher of the absolute truth. Because Prabhupada was a walking Srimad Bhagavatam who at every step distinguished reality from illusion for the welfare of all. For the welfare of all, Srila Prabhupada distinguished reality from illusion. So this is our situation. We must be willing to have the reality distinguished from illusion, especially from our greatest enemy, our own mind. Fall at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Fall at the lotus feet of the sadhus. Tell them, I know this. The sadhus will tell you, will tell themselves, the sadhus will tell you, hey, know this. Bhavana bhavana mana tumi ati dushta. That our mind is our greatest enemy. Let's see. Vishindra Prabhu gave me permission to go on until 8:35 if I want to. So, okay, I guess it's not. Oops, 8:35, sorry. I'll just read this one line. Whoa, it's still 8:35. Whoa. Okay, got it. Okay, so I can keep going. Anyway, look. This bhavana mana tumi ati dushta. He says, my dear mind, you have not thought of this. You are very wicked. Oh, you are deeply sunk in the poison of worldly sense gratification. You are overwhelmed by lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and so on. You are under the sway of the enemy. Anyway, there's more of this bhajan and strongly recommend hear it. But the sadhus will tell us, hey, this is our problem. Our problem is we're not hearing the unadulterated message of the absolute truth. So then the class here. If there's any questions or comments, we can take them now. Go ahead. Oh, what, from Jarasandha? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not like you can't like, oh, I'm going to Krishna today, but it's actually he gives it to you. So from people, me trying to practice Krishna consciousness, I also struggle with this. Is I want to remember Krishna, but then my mind is racing, thinking about all these different things.
Yeah.
So
Same here.
so then, and if you don't remember Krishna, that's gonna cause you suffering. So then, I mean, I can't force Krishna to give me his mercy to me. How do I even, without remembering Krishna, still stay fixed in Krishna consciousness, even though my mind is sweet?
By serving Krishna. By
Serving my mind is not really.
yeah, but then begging for his mercy. We can't, you see, this is the thing, that we can't force Krishna to give his causeless mercy to us. We can't force him. It's not something that is, today I'm chanting 64 rounds, Prabhuji, end of the day I'll have prema. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. We have to beg and beg and beg. Krishna is very merciful. But then I was listening to a lecture of my Guru Maharaj, and in this he was saying that, Krishna, you really want to trust Krishna? Like you see all the things that he does to his devotees. They come in the middle of the night, he asks them to go back home. Then he says, they all perform all these activities and all this and all that. And then, he sometimes doesn't reciprocate with them. You really want to depend on Krishna? It's safer to depend on Srimati Radharani. And that's the point of this purport. Depend on Srimati Radharani. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that we are aprakrita sahajas. Not aprakrita sahajas. We want to aspire to be like that. He said, we are Shuddha Shaktas. We are worshippers of the pure Shakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That once there was a person, very, very respectable person in society, a Bangladesh society or Bengali society. He came to Vrindavan, while Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was there, and he was doing what's that rollover parikram, very like Dandavat parikram? Yeah. So like he was doing Dandavat parikram of Radha Kund. And this disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very excited and told him, Prabhupada, look, this person, he's performing Dandavat parikram of Radha Kund. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was not impressed. He said, he is worshipping Srimati Radharani because she has something to do with Krishna. But we worship Krishna because he has something to do with Srimati Radharani. She is always very merciful. Always very merciful. So, that's why, O Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please engage me in your devotional service. It's all about taking shelter of the Daivi Prakriti. Daivim Prakriti Mashataha. We should take shelter of that. And what's the ways to do it? The only time you don't take shelter of Daivi Prakriti and you take shelter of Apara Prakriti or the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is when we become puffed up and when the conception of keeping ourselves as the doer, the enjoyer, and the controller. The minute we're in a difficult situation and we realize, I'm really not the controller. I'm really not. The more we try to manipulate the material energy, it becomes hard. That's why there's this 342 of the Bhagavad Gita. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyebhya paramanaha, manasastu parabuddhir, yo buddhev paratastu saha. So here, I should not say excellent verse, but this is a very verse which we can apply to our life right now. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So here Srila Prabhupada translates Saha as he to mean the soul. But then I was listening to this lecture of my Guru Maharaj, and I strongly recommend devotees share this. Why even staunch brahmacharis and sannyasis fall down. That's the name of the lecture. And in this, he's speaking about how Sripad Ramanujacharya says Saha in this verse is also lust. So we see that, yes, the senses are superior to dull matter, and the mind is superior to the senses, and intelligence is superior to the mind, but subtler than that is lust, which is so deeply rooted in the living entity. It's so deeply rooted in the living entity that it causes us to forget. It causes us to It creeps in very subtly. It creeps in very subtly. That even when we're performing devotional service, if you're not performing devotional service with the motivation of only anya bilashita shunyam, that if we are not performing devotional service with no other desire but the pleasure of Krishna, then lust creeps in. And then we expect to be glorified for glorifying Krishna. And if we don't receive that respect, then we are disappointed. We are frustrated. And then we think, next time I'll give a class in such a way that everyone will have to glorify me. That's why Srila Prabhupada gives a very amazing definition of humility. He gives a definition of humility in the 13th chapter, Amanitvam Adhambitvam, 13th chapter 8 to 12. So Prabhupada, he groups these 12 verses together, giving them as the symptoms of knowledge. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada says that humility means to not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. Should not be anxious for that satisfaction of being honored by others. So when we are anxious for that, then immediately we start feeling dissatisfied, even while performing devotional service. I've analyzed this because I'm a huge, I should not say victim of this or whatever, but I've performed activities in my spiritual life which have caused me to be embarrassed. And I've analyzed with the help of my seniors, Chandanacharya Prabhu, Vishnachitra Prabhu, my Guru Maharaj, and other Vaishnavas also. I'm understood Damodar Prabhu, don't forget that. Hey, I got the special blessings from him many times. Helping me understand that ultimately the bottom line, the reason for dissatisfaction, the reason for already performing devotional service is glorious. There's nothing more glorious than performance of devotional service. The performance of devotional service is glorious. But we see that if we want to take that glory for ourselves, it becomes contaminated. And that's why Prabhupada in his book over and over and over again says, tendency to lord it over, tendency to lord it over, tendency to lord it over. We should recognize our conditioning and understand that, hey, actually, I really do have a tendency to lord it over. And I realize in my own spiritual life, that has been one of my biggest anarthas, the tendency to lord it over others. I never understood. What does this lord it over mean until recently? That I was like, this is what it means. That whatever glory, you may perform glorious devotional service, but then after performing the glorious devotional service, you want to lord it over someone else. Then you messed up. And that's the cause of our dissatisfaction. Then we are not taking shelter of Srimati Radharani. Then we are not taking shelter of Paraprakriti. Maya is like, got you yet again. So this is our disease. This is our problem. Is that okay, Prabhu? Anything else? Yes, Mr. Girish Prabhu. Amshi Prabhu, you had something? Okay.
We were mentioning some connection between Vyasaki and Srila Krishna.
That's another name for him.
Oh, but it's a different person.
No, it's the same person.
Okay. Because Vyasaki is isn't he a serpent?
No, that's Vasuki.
Oh, Vasuki.
Is it Vasuki or Vasuki? Huh? Va or Va? Va. Vasuki or Vasuki? Vasuki. Vasuki. Vyasaki is different. Vasuki is different. So, Vasuki. Yes, Amayatma Prabhu.
Can you explain a little bit more about the attitude and qualification, the person who reads Srimad Bhagavatam? Because you can see the many Srimad Bhagavatam readers, they have many my body retreats.
You're getting me into my Bhakti Siddhanta Bhav. Okay. Navani, is the Bhagavatam, Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava in the back there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just get all three.
Mention it in scriptures just because of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you can understand, but we can see it's not enough. Can you explain it at this point?
Avaishnava Mukodgirnam Sarpochishakatamritam Shavana. What's the third line? Shavana Naiva Kartavyam. That's the fourth line. Anyway, a person should not hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Avaishnavas. That we say, the tendency of the conditioned soul, if there's something nice, I want to use it for my sense gratification. There's a tendency of the conditioned soul. So we see what's nicer than the Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anyway, it's arguable. We can argue about this. But That's a nice controversy to have yet again. Right? But we see, okay, I guess, I'm sorry, I probably sent, he's gone probably somewhere. I'll just see if I can Bhagavatam. So business is Business, right? Business. Okay, I got, yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so there's this chapter in the Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava called Bhagavatam Business. Okay? There is no book in the world like Srimad Bhagavatam. But what an irony. What a play of Maya. This book of books has been converted to a commodity for trafficking. You know what trafficking means? It's like pushing, drug trafficking, hustling. You know, like people are selling drugs. You drug trafficking, right? You can just call up Navani Prabhu and just tell him whatever, it's okay. Then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati considered this word how do you say this, Mithavan Prabhu? Pecuniary? Okay. Whoa, okay. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati considered pecuniary motivated Bhagavata Saptas, week-long recitations of Srimad Bhagavatam, as a blot on Vaishnava society. In imitation of Parikshit Maharaj, hearing Bhagavatam for 7 days from Shukadev Goswami. These were religious cum social shows with audiences ranging from a few dozen to thousands. The popularity of Bhagavad Saptas stemmed from the promises that worldly boons were gained by participation therein, and also from narrators' expertise in delighting their audience. I'm sorry, Prabhu. It's okay. Thank you. You know, okay. You can scroll. I'll read from the book. You got to do it. Okay. All right. I'll just. Which volume is that? I hope you got the right volume. Okay. Let's see. I think it's volume 3. I'm sorry. I didn't want to waste time, Prabhuji. Please forgive me. Where is that? Bhagavatam Business. If it's in volume 1, I'm going to take my phone back. Okay. So, let's see. Well, Prabhuji, it looks like I may need my phone back. Okay, yeah, please. I'm sorry. That's why I said all 3. Okay, you can look if that over there it says Bhagavatam Business. Okay, so the popularity of Bhagavad Sapta stemmed from promises from the promises that worldly boons were gained by participation therein, and also from the narrator's expertise in delighting their audience. Oh, such nice speaker, Prabhuji! I got so much Radha Bhava from your lecture. How to read that word? E-R. If y'all don't know, then I have no hope. Such ersatz speakers, typical, I guess you can say like showy speakers. Speakers typically from the ranks of the caste Goswamis were hardly on the level of Shukadev Goswami, being neither self-realized nor concerned for their hearers' spiritual benefit. Customarily, attendees presented gifts and cash or kind to the orator, whose narrations were typically delivered in a charming, showy style and much poetic literary and grammatical frills to satisfy the senses of the participants and thus elicit profuse donations. If we give a really good class, we'll get a really big donation. So make sure your class is like, really Rasik class. Well practiced in theatrics of their trade, spontaneously breaking into song or tears as the plot required, they secured both income for family upkeep and reputation as devotional scholars. Yet Srila Saraswati Thakur heaped opprobrium, meaning like opposition, on Bhagavatam reciters whose charge is of 10 rupees per hour. He noted, embarked either for buying a gun for their son to shoot birds or for their own whoremongering. Heavy. So we see, and even recently there's a famous Bhagavatam speaker. She's even spoken in a couple of ISKCON centers. She said I know. You know what I'm saying? So she posts 5 lakhs for one Bhagavad Sapta. 5 lakh rupees. 500,000 rupees. Professional speakers generally dilated on the sections of the 10th canto, let's say. There's so much. Okay. Srila Saraswati Thakur further explained. Okay, you know what? I'll read this. This is good. If a poisonous snake drinks a remnant and may taste the same as ordinary milk, but the quality has changed from life-giving nectar to life-destroying poison. He expatiated on the qualifications of a genuine Bhagavatam reciter. I read a notice posted by a professional reciter declaring that he would become a street sweeper if thereby he could earn more. Those who do not serve Hari at every moment perform other activities on the strength of Harinam and thus commit major Nam Aparadh. One whose life and activities are based on the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam should serve Hari with every step, every bite of food, and every breath of every breath. Srimad Bhagavatam is directly the absolute truth. It is not an object of business, but it is to be served and worshipped. A stipend holder or contractor cannot explain the Srimad Bhagavatam. First of all, refrain from approaching the professional priest. See whether the devotee is, whether he devotes his time fully to Srimad Bhagavatam or not. Srimad Bhagavatam is not glorified as coming from the mouth of one who is not a pure devotee and does not center his life on Bhagavatam's teachings. Such a person cheats himself and others by making a show of Bhagavatam recitation. And I recommend you can read this whole section. It's called Bhagavatam. It's a long section. Volume must be in the first volume, because, it's in the first volume. So if we say, you can read, you'll understand more. But the point is clear, right? This is how you distinguish.
We can see there's many people they can hear from bona fide source. For example, from our good spiritual master, from Prabhupada, from Mahotsaha Prabhu, many people, they heard from them, but still they have so much misunderstanding. This means like it's not enough if even you have hearing Srimad Bhagavatam continuously, and you're hearing from right source, but still something else.
आपने आचार केहा ना करे प्रचार प्रचार करे न केहा ना करे आचार आचार प्रचार करे न तुम्ही कार्य तुम्ही सर्वगुरु तुम्ही जगतेर आर्य. Then a person should hear and also behave. Should preach according to what he's hearing. He should practice what he preaches. So when a person is hearing from the Guru, the principle should be Chitete Korea Aikya. That should be the principle of making Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Korea Aikya. That should be the principle. That one should make the words of the spiritual master one with his heart. If he does not do so, then he will not make advancement. I know some of my god siblings, they chant their rounds looking at their computer. Scrolling Facebook while chanting their rounds. I know some of my god siblings, they say, oh, मैं तो 3 बजे ही सोता हूँ. I only sleep at 3 o'clock. I'm not going to wake up before 4. I know. That's not bona fide. Unfortunately, one of my really good friends at the time and I were went to stay in a Prabhupada disciple's house. And we were surprised. Unfortunately, he had a big table tennis, what's it called? Ping pong table. He's very famous for playing ping pong. And then when we woke up, we were chanting our rounds, and we were all like, oh, okay, all right, at least we'll chant. Maybe it's his kids, whatever. But then we're chanting our rounds, he's chanting, he's looking at the screen, he turns on his looking screen. First starts off with Mayapur Darshan, then Vrindavan Darshan, then Darshan of some other temple. And then he's watching a ping pong game while chanting his rounds. How does this happen? This person used to be a sannyasi. How does this happen? This means that surrender to the spiritual master must happen at every moment. And surrendering means hearing and applying. The minute we decide not to surrender, that's the minute we deviate. Spiritual life is like a... Then what will happen? Little inattention, then blood. It's not a joke. Shuryasya dhara nishita duratyaya. Durgam patis tat kavayo vadanti. Careful. Sadhu savdhan. You must remind us. That's why, anyway, Tato dusanga mutsija. That's why I associate it. My God, sometimes it's heavy. Even associating sometimes with Visheshita Prabhu, it's heavy. When he lays in on you, he really lays in on you. But I'm so grateful for that. It's amazing. It's liberating. Vidyate hridaya granthas, We can see person following a Bhagavata, following the he's following his spiritual master perfectly. So, vidyate hridaya granthas, siddhyante sarva samshaya. So their words, they destroy the knots of the heart. That should be our goal. But if we're not doing it, it's on us. It's on us. Ultimately, it's our fault. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Mata. Please. Yeah.
In regards to the humility thing, my question is how do we do service with unmotivated tendencies? Because sometimes you may constantly do a service imperfectly and get corrected for it. But then naturally, what might develop is the desire to want to be glorified for that service, doing it wrong. But it's not even a pure desire to want to please Krishna. So how do we fix that?
Yeah, we first say, to even recognize that we have that problem, that's a very good first step, to recognize that we have the problem. And then we approach our authorities. We see, okay, I'm having a problem like this, I'm having a problem like that. What do I do? How do I correct this? We approach and we see. And they give very practical advice. Anyway, we're fortunate to be in good association. We're fortunate to be in good guidance. So, we get good guidance. So, if help is there, take it. It's simple, no? If help is available, we can take the help. It's not a problem. It's no big deal. Help is there, we take it. And then, by applying these principles, we'll actually make a lot of advancement. There's no, yes, okay, I'm having this tendency, I'm having this tendency. And then when we admit, Prabhuji, I'm having this tendency, what do I do? Then, the solution that they give, we should take and apply to it ourselves. It could be hard. Is that okay? There's no matter of fact, drink this cup of water, it goes away. There's no such thing because this is a matter of the heart. It's a matter of the heart. How much do we really want Krishna? How much do we want to glorify Krishna? How much do we want to glorify ourselves? So, we say that, I'm doing all this to glorify Krishna, but I'm such a fool, I'm looking for glorification of myself. When we come to, one solution. You can learn this bhajan, or you can at least hear this bhajan I put up. I can post it on the Books Course group. I hear it every day. It's a very amazing. Bhavana mana. You can look it up. If you don't find it, I can post it. Okay? Madhu, do you have anything? Yes.
So when it comes to devotional service, I've heard multiple things, but my question is when does devotional service start? I've heard that when you get in contact with a pure devotee, or you get Srila Prabhupada's books, or when you've taken, I would say, diksha from a spiritual master. So when does devotional service
All
start?
the answers are correct. Okay? So from the minute bhakti comes from a bhakta, from the minute you come in touch with a bhakta, naturally bhakti is going to start. Okay? That's why Prabhupada says, even if a wine drinker comes in association with a devotee and the devotee tells him that Krishna is the taste in your wine, and every time the wine drinker remembers that, oh, Krishna is the taste, he will make a little advancement, and eventually he'll come to a point of performing pure devotional service. Okay?
Very quick.
Okay.
So then what about, they say you pick up from where you last left off in the past life. Will you also consider that?
I mean, you get bhakti from a bhakta, so at some point of time you came in touch with the devotees and they gave you devotional service. When it went, how it went, doesn't matter. Okay? All right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sandubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bhavana manam. tumi ati dursham.
I'm like, every time.